Hi, my name is Brennan Gadion, and we are here with Amphibian's Voice.
Hello, I'm Aaron Yaboot.
Hi, I'm Paige Rogers.
First, we're going to start off with a little bit of anatomy. The larynx, or better known as the voice box, uses muscles to pull the vocal cords out, and as you let out air, it'll vibrate those vocal cords, and those vibrations can cause a change in tone and pitch. And with the help with the tongue, that is what allows us to make sound and what allows us to speak or sing.
Next, we'll be talking about frogs. So frogs have a vocal sac, and this can either be a single throat sac, a paired throat sac, or a paired lateral sac, and this is seen on the right. And so, fun fact about frogs is that they're one of the first land animals with vocal cords, and so they have been croaking and singing for around 180 million years. And so, a frog is able to create sound with its mouth closed as the frog pumps air back and forth between its vocal cords. And so, additionally, many male frogs have vocal sac pouches that of the skin that fill with air, and these balloon-like structures will resonate and sound like a megaphone. And this is how they get their unique croaking sound. Um, then we'll go a little bit more into what structures are involved in making sound. So this would include the larynx, the buccal cavity, which is pretty much just the mouth area, the mouth opening, and the lungs. And so the larynx in the frogs are also known as the vocal sac, and they play a crucial role in producing their distinctive croaking sounds. And so when a frog croaks, it forces air from its lungs through the larynx, which acts as a resonating chamber. And this chamber amplifies the sound produced by the vibrations of the frog's vocal cords, which create the croaking noise that is a characteristic of frogs.
So now we're going to cover toads. So most vocal toads that you hear are going to be male. Females occasionally make noise, but it's very, very rare and it's usually pretty quiet. So toads use vocalization to help attract mates and then also prevent interspecies mating. So they want to make sure they're mating within their species, and so they'll only mate if they hear a familiar call. And then they also use their vocalizations to ward off predators. So some species of toads do have vocal sacs similar to frogs, but they're usually underdeveloped. And so most species have vocal slits to help compensate. So the way that they draw that air into their lungs and then expel it is very similar to the frogs, except whenever they're expelling that air, it's going to go through those vocal slits, and then it's going to go into air sacs if they have them, and that's going to help amplify the sound and then also increase the length of the sound. It's the toad's call is typically a little bit less melodic than a frog sound is. It's a little bit more aggressive and a little bit deeper tone typically. So here I have two examples of a toad's call. So I'm going to go ahead and play those for you guys. The first one is going to be an American toad. And this next one is going to be an eastern spadefoot toad. All right, so I have a short clip for you guys. It kind of shows how the toads are going to inhale that air into their body. As you guys can see right here, as the toad is inhaling the air, the body is getting larger, and then that sound, the body is going to get smaller because it's expelling that air. Next, we have the salamanders. So salamanders actually don't have very much vocal anatomy. They're pretty silent creatures. They usually only make sounds when they're startled, and when they do make sounds, it's usually because of the smacking of their lips. So their lips are usually kept moist, so whenever they're startled, they'll move their jaws and it'll kind of create a popping sound. And so you can kind of hear that in this next video that I'm going to show you guys. So this video right here. That's pretty much the only sound that they make. Sometimes it'll be a little bit more muffled and a little less high pitched, but that's the general sound for that. Caecilians are very similar to salamanders in that they don't have very much vocal structures in their anatomy. So similar to salamanders, some species do have larynx, but usually not, and no Caecilian has vocal cords. So again, all of their noise production is going to be from their lips and their jaws moving while they're moist. So it's going to be a very similar sound to the salamanders that you heard previously. So we're going to go ahead and play a quick little game. So the first part of our game is essentially where we're going to be matching the vocal structure to the animal. So the Caecilians are not included in this game. So your answer choices are going to be between the frog, the toad, and then the salamander. So as you can see, we have 3 structures right here. So you can go ahead and pause the video and try to figure out which animal each of these structures belongs to. And then I'm going to go ahead and go over those answers now. So the very first one is going to be a frog. In the image, you can see a vocal sac. It's actually a paired vocal sac that they have. You just can't see the other one in the image. The next one is going to be a toad. So as you can see, these blue highlighted areas right here, those are going to be the vocal slits, which are primarily found in those toads. And then the last one, you guessed it, is going to be our salamander species because you can't see any of those vocal air sacs, and then you also can't see any vocal slits there. All right, guys. So for the second part of our game, I'm going to play a couple of sounds for you, and you're going to tell me whether they're going to be a frog call or a toad call. So keep in mind those anatomical structures that kind of produce the different sounds, and whether it's going to be usually more melodic and high pitched, or if it's going to be deeper and a little bit more chaotic. So I'm going to go ahead and play that first sound for you guys. All right, so if you guessed frog for that one, you would be correct. We're going to go ahead and go to the next one. All right, so if you guessed toad for that one, you would be correct. Now we're going to go to number 3. All right, so that one is going to be a toad. And then we're going to go to number 4. And that is going to be a frog. And then last but certainly not least, this one is a little bit tricky. It was meant to be a little bit of a challenge, but if you guessed frog, you are correct. So that concludes our presentation. Thank you guys for listening. Feel free to play the video back to listen to those sounds again and kind of compare them. And you can kind of detect the patterns between the different species of amphibians. Thank you guys.